JIN Cries. Turns out this is why Jungkook was angry at him. What happened? The tears of an idol are not a common sight, especially if it's Jin from BTS, a figure known for always being strong, humorous, and an entertainer for his fans. However, the public was shocked when news circulated that Jin was seen crying after being in tension with Jungkook, the youngest member who has been closest to him all this time. Why did a moment that should have been full of togetherness turn into an emotional situation that made these two world stars clash? What actually happened behind the scenes that triggered Jungkook's anger and Jin's tears? This situation was revealed not in the middle of a big stage or a magnificent concert, but during an internal moment that was initially considered simple. Sources close to the group said that unresolved differences of opinion were the trigger. Jungkook, who is known to be a perfectionist and critical of details, was allegedly disturbed by Jin's attitude in a training session. Not because of hatred, but because of the great pressure ahead of an important agenda. That's where the drama lies. A small moment that turns into an emotional explosion in the midst of the superstars' busy routines. This tension is even more surprising because Jin and Jungkook's relationship is known to be very warm. Jin often treats Jungkook like his own younger brother and is even often referred to as one of his protectors. However, a long-established closeness does not always guarantee a relationship without friction. In a world as full of pressure as the global music industry, emotions can arise at any time. The question then arises, does Jin's crying really indicate a breakdown in their relationship, or is it a sign of an even deeper closeness? According to a staff member's confession, the atmosphere heated up when Jungkook openly criticized Jin's attitude, which was considered less serious in a certain session. The comment may have sounded ordinary, but Jungkook's louder tone of voice than usual changed the atmosphere. Jin, who usually responds with a joke, was silent this time. A moment of silence broke into a brief debate. Jungkook, carried away by emotion, conveyed his complaints, while Jin tried to hold back his feelings. Not long after that, tears fell from Jin's eyes, surprising everyone present. Many are questioning, why is Jin, who is usually the strongest figure, crying? The answer lies in the complexity of their relationship. As an older member, Jin feels he has a responsibility to maintain team harmony. When he becomes the source of criticism from the younger brother he cares so much about, feelings of guilt and disappointment in himself are unavoidable. The tears were not only because of heartache, but an outpouring of deep feelings that he might have disappointed his own group members. Meanwhile, Jungkook did not intend to bring Jin down. On the contrary, his anger was born out of great concern. In the pressure towards a busy schedule, both recording, appearances, and comeback preparations, he feels that all members must be in top condition. When he saw Jin looking a little careless, he couldn't help but hold back his emotions. However, behind that angry tone, there is actually unspoken affection and concern. Ironically, that concern actually hurt the person he respected the most. This moment eventually became a topic of conversation within the internal team. Some other members were even said to have tried to calm the two down after the incident. The short but intense debate was not just a small drama, but a real reflection of life behind the glitz of the stage. BTS, who always appear perfect in the public eye, also experience emotional dynamics that are so human. That's where the importance lies, that even world stars are not immune to fights and tears. After the incident, Jungkook reportedly immediately approached Jin to apologize. He realized that his angry tone left an unwanted emotional wound. Jin, although he had been caught up in tears, accepted the apology with an open heart. The emotional meeting finally ended with a hug that became a symbol of reconciliation. Witnesses said that even though it had drained tears, the moment showed the maturity of the two idols in resolving the conflict. This news immediately triggered various reactions from fans. ARMY, the term for BTS fans, flooded social media with sympathy. Many expressed support for Jin and Jungkook while emphasizing that conflict between members is normal. Some even think that the moment actually shows their true closeness. If they weren't close, there wouldn't be such deep feelings that would make JIN cry, wrote one comment that received thousands of likes. On the other hand, this event also opened a discussion about the mental pressure experienced by idols. The pressure to always look perfect, busy schedules, and huge global expectations often trigger emotions that are difficult to control. In this case, Jungkook channeling his concern through anger and Jin expressing his guilt through tears are a reflection of how fragile their human side is. Not just sensational news, but a reminder that behind extraordinary achievements, they are still ordinary humans with complex feelings. Now, after everything has subsided, Jin and Jungkook's relationship is reportedly getting closer. The emotional debate became a turning point that deepened mutual understanding between them. Jungkook learned to control his emotions better, while Jin understood that there was nothing wrong with showing weakness in front of colleagues who really cared. For fans, this event is a beautiful reminder that the love between BTS members is not just a slogan, but a real bond that is tested by conflict and tears. In the end, Jin's tears and Jungkook's anger are not a sign of division, but proof of true closeness. Like the relationship between siblings in a family, fights can happen, but they actually make the bond stronger. This story not only stirs public emotions, but also shows the most human side of two global stars who usually look perfect. And for ARMY around the world, this moment will always be remembered as one of the most honest episodes in BTS's journey, when tears and anger actually give birth to an irreplaceable closeness. However, behind all these emotional stories, a big question arises that cannot be ignored. Did the event of Jin crying and Jungkook's anger really happen? Or is it just a story amplified by social media? In the digital age, a snippet of video, a tweet on Twitter, or a TikTok upload can trigger an explosion of speculation. So, it's only natural that the public is starting to doubt, questioning the authenticity of this dramatic event. Are we witnessing a real story, or just engineering to create sensation? Imagine, what if everything we read is just an interpretation of a brief expression that is misunderstood? Isn't it often the case that cameras capture certain moments that don't actually represent the whole situation? It could be that Jin is just teary-eyed because he's tired, or Jungkook is just speaking in a high tone without intending to be angry. But why is the public more likely to believe the narrative Jin cried because he was scolded? Is it because the story is more emotionally stirring? Or is it because we do tend to like dramas that trigger curiosity? This question is important. Who actually benefits when news like this spreads widely? Are Jin and Jungkook, who actually have to face intense public scrutiny? Or social media, which reaps attention, clicks, and interactions from millions of people who are hooked by the issue? Maybe we are all unconsciously becoming part of a big game called sensationalism. Is this a form of support for idols, or is it actually exploitation of their personal lives? Let's take a closer look. The information circulating comes from various sources: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, to several entertainment media portals. But can all of these sources be considered credible?